This is WOWT 6 News, live at 6:30.
We have new reactions from Carrie Dean Moore's execution today. Our Anastasia Champ is live and is saying there are still many against this.
John, the rally wrapped up nearly half an hour ago. The more than 50 people on the steps of the Capitol building called today a sad day in Nebraska history as Carrie Dean Moore became the 38th death row inmate executed by the state, fulfilling his sentence for killing two Omaha cab drivers in the 1970s. It was a day of grieving and sorrow. The protesters stood in solidarity against the death penalty. Many have been protesting all day, some even months and years, against what they call cruel punishment. And though 61% of voters brought the death penalty back, protesters say the lack of support is telling.
I think we should all be scared as hell that a big, strong, rich white man whose dad owns an investment company can bankroll an election, convince 61% of the population to vote on his side, and to give him the power to kill people.
Now, speakers ranging from clergymen to state legislators spoke tonight, all sharing the same sentiment. As far as they're concerned, the fight against the death penalty is far from over. Live in Lincoln with producer Roger Hamer, Anastasia Champ, 6 News.
Thank you, Anastasia. And Carrie Dean Moore is the first person to be executed in 21 years. The family of the cab drivers who witnessed the execution felt they received closure. Brian Master reports.
Inmate number 32947 is dead, killed by lethal injection. After 7 execution date stops and starts since 1980, this one saw no delay. Carrie Dean Moore pronounced dead at 10:47 this morning, 23 minutes after receiving the first of 4 drugs, but not before saying goodbye to family and friends.
He turned his head left and mouthed several words to appears a number of witnesses, including the words, "I love you."
Carrie Dean Moore had been on Nebraska's death row for 38 years for robbing and killing 2 Omaha cab drivers in 1979.
I recognize that today's execution impacts many people on many levels. Most certainly the families of Mr. Van Ness and Mr. Helgeland.
Maynard Helgeland's sons came to the state penitentiary on Tuesday, not to watch Carrie Dean Moore die, but to pay tribute to the victims.
We are here simply to honor our father's memory and Mr. Van Ness's memory and make sure that they don't get left in the dust here.
I hate what he did to the 2 people and the families he affected, but I don't hate the man personally, but I hate for what he done.
As for the execution itself, since Nebraska was using a drug combination never before used in an execution, were there problems?
Didn't appear to be any complications. The curtain was down for a period of time, so we can't say what happened behind the curtain, but from what we saw, it appeared to go as planned.
Nebraska used fentanyl in its execution process. No state has ever done that before in lethal injection. A bigger question is, will Nebraska be able to have another execution with so many of the drugs expiring soon?
As it stands, Nebraska's death row is down to 11 men. In Lincoln with photographer Jim Hinchuk, I'm Brian Master reporting 6 News.
And as Brian mentioned, there are 11 other inmates on Nebraska's death row, and that list includes Roy Ellis, who was convicted of sexually assaulting and killing 12-year-old Amber Harris, and 3 men convicted in the Norfolk botched bank robbery. It left 5 people dead. It's not clear when any of them would be executed. Last week, Nebraska's prisons director Scott Frakes revealed that the state cannot purchase any more of the necessary lethal injection drugs. Frakes says the pharmacy that supplied Nebraska's current batch of drugs is unwilling to sell the state anymore. He says he has contacted at least 40 potential suppliers in 6 states.